Hello everyone, this is Rahil Asadi. I'm PhD student at ASE. I would like to talk about my paper, Development of Effective Relation between Leadership Style and Organizational Culture Growth. Access and development the system, creating the useful change is imperative, and any organization that fails to make this type of change in a correct way, in accordance with the aim and objective of the organization, will inevitably fail in the competitive world. As we know, the human resource and the employees, they play the key role in shaping the organization culture. And among these employees, the leaders have a direct impact on the behavior of them. So I can say that those leaders who are not able to play a role or perform according to the circumstances exist in the organization, they cannot use their influence to guiding the people and employee and using the proper leadership style. Soon they will be in trouble for leading them, and the case of organization to the fail. But the leaders who attention to the organizational culture and choosing the appropriate leadership style, which is accordance with the organization, they can move forward in the direction that moves to integrating and streamlining the organization process and leading the organization and employee to progress, and for sure they will achieve the excellent result. For this aim, the main objective of this paper is the relationship between the transformational leadership and organizational culture adaptability, to investigate the relation between transformational leadership and also the organizational culture, to study better the relation between transformational leadership and the culture of employee engagement, and also the evaluate and assess the status quo of transformational leadership dimensions and examine the transactional leadership in organization, and evaluate the status quo of organization culture dimension. For better evaluating the main objective of this research, I use the different type of methodology. The main objective of this research, I use different type of methodology. The first methodology is included a library source, paper, book, internet, and secondary data. And the other methodology that I use, using a design questionnaire paper according to the multi-factor questionnaire MLQ. And to assess this questionnaire paper, I use the Korenbach Alpha. The questionnaire paper was gathered the information between the 550 employees in the MAPNO company, and it was contained of two parts. The first part was started with a general question, and the second part a specific question about the leadership style and the organizational culture. Organizational culture and also leadership style, a conceptual model designed, as you can see here and showed in this picture, for showing the impact and illustrative dimension of organization culture and the leadership style in the organization. In this model includes different type of variables: adaptability, mission, involvement, consistency, and based on two type of leadership style, which it was existing in the MAPNO company: transformational leadership style and transactional, and they have an internal and external focus, flexible and rigidity. I would like to talk more about these two types of transformational and transactional leadership style and the dimension of organizational culture and the impact of organization culture on the performance of these two types of leadership in the MAPNO company. According to the analysis of main objective of this research, present the status quo of the main dimension of organization culture, including the mean, standard deviation, and percentage, as you can see here in the table, and also is showing the result in the chart. The result for the fourth dimension of organization of culture shows that the difference of culture adaptability with a dimension of mission, involvement, and consistency. There is no higher difference between none of these four dimensions. We can see here the amount of percentage for four of these variables, which they are the main dimension of organization culture. All they have a close relation, and they have no high difference between the amount of none of these four variables. Uh, Conceptual model that we designed for this research paper, the organization of culture are going to divide it on the four main dimensions: adaptability, mission, involvement, consistency, and these four variables are divided to the sub-dimensions. We calculate for all of these main dimension and sub-dimension the amount of mean, standard deviation, and the percentage. As we said before, for the main dimension, all of these four variables, adaptability, mission, and involvement, and consistency, there were no high difference between none of those amounts. But for the sub-dimensions, which is showing here in the chart and also in the table, the factor of change, customer orientation, organizational learning, strategic intention and direction, goals and objective of organization, vision, empowerment, team oriented capabilities development, coordination and accordance, and fundamental values. The amount of mean, standard deviation, and also the percentage, the average result for the dimension of adaptability and the mission are more than other variables. As you can see here in the table and also mentioned in the chart, there is a high difference between the dimension of adaptability and the mission with comparing with the rest of variables. Objective of this research, we try to find out the mean, standard deviation, and the percentage amount for the main and the sub-dimensions of the organizational culture, and for finding out the impact of organizational culture on the performance of the two type of leadership style in this company. We try to find out the percentage point of main dimension for these two type of leadership style: transformational leadership style and transactional leadership style. As you can see here, the obtained result mentioned in the chart and also in the table for these two type of leadership style. The average rate of mean for the transformational leadership style is much more higher than the transactional leadership style. And also the amount of percentage for the transformational leadership style is higher than the transactional leadership style. Research, we try to find out the amount of mean, standard deviation, and percentage for the main and sub-dimension of organizational culture, and then after that we calculate all of these three amount: mean, standard deviation, percentage for two type of leadership style: transactional and transformational leadership style in the organization. In previous slide, we saw that there is a difference for the amount of mean and also percentage between transformational leadership style and transactional leadership style. Here we are trying to find out and comparing between the mean, standard deviation, and percentage for the sub-dimension between two type of leadership style. As we can see here, which is mentioned in the chart and the table, all sub-dimension of two type of leadership style: conditional reward management based on expected passive and also active, non-intervention leadership, inspirational motivation, individual consideration, intellectual stimulation, and idealist influence. All the results showing that the transformational leadership, there are two dimensions of inspirational motivation And for the intellectual simulation, they have a higher score. If you look to the table, the highest score with 71.22 and 70.22 between the other variables. And also all these amounts are showing in the chart, and there is a difference between these two variables for the transformational leadership and between their sub-dimension with the transactional leadership style. Based on the results of comparing of sub-dimension and main dimension between two types of leadership style in the organization and the relation with the organization culture, we find out there is a difference between transformational leadership style and the transactional leadership style, and the difference it was between the sub-dimension and also in the main dimension of the transformational leadership. Here, as you can see in the chart and the table, the result obtained shows that transformational leadership style has a positive and significant relation with the dimension of adaptability and mission for the organizational culture. If the leaders in the organization, they use transformational leadership style, and according to the conceptual model presented at the first slide, the focus consists in the top part of model, which is consists with the external focus. Transformational leadership with consistency and work involvement has a negative correlation relationship. In other words, we can say by increasing transformational leadership style, these two-dimension effects will decrease in the organization. So according all of these results that we have after the calculation with the Cronbach alpha and using MLQ questionnaire, multi-factor questionnaire paper between 550 employees in a MAPNO company, and finding out the difference between two types of leadership style in the organization and the impact and the relation of these two types of leadership style with the organization of culture. This result showing us, according to this research, that there is an effective and positive relation between transformational leadership and style and the dimension of adaptability, culture, and the mission. It is believed that the transformation of leadership style is more appropriate for the leaders in this company, the company of MAPNO. We suggest that for the leaders and also the organization, in accordance with the performance of transformational leadership and also for the need and importance of internal focus in the organization, they try to use the transactional style also, which means two type of leadership in the different situation. Although many study in this area, they are selecting leadership style with consideration of organization requirements and appropriate with the organization environment, culture, and in accordance with the mission and the goals of organization. But in this research, it is suggested that the leaders adapt their styles in accordance with the organization need and the culture, and combining both of two type of leadership style, which it means combination of transactional and also transformational leadership style for the organization. Adaptive organizations are supporting the leadership style and their behavior of leaders. They can recognize and also discovering any environmental change, warning to create new behavior in accordance and adapt with the external and also environmental internal change. This is especially true for the matching the staff and the process in the organization. Is very much concerned with the change in society and the right time, and when facing any change in the new plans, we react quickly and promptly to get the best result for the organization and achieve all the aims and all the goals. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Good afternoon. I am thankful to present this study at the 12th Annual Euromed Academy of Business Conference. My name is Marinel Cornelius DINU, and I am a student at the Bucharest University of Economic Studies. This paper bears the title "The Value of Creating a Healthy Framework for Sustainable Life." The outline paper is concentrate about the results of a pilot study that focuses on the influence of the lifestyle factors on the health of the people. We are going to evaluate economic benefits to a healthy lifestyle of the people that are obtained in this way through a better health, economic benefits that results from health expenditure savings, increase productivity, etc. This study is a starting point for looking to the economic effects of the lifestyle as reflected in the health saving that can occur when community people have better health. In the introduction, there is a project designed to identify a vision of healthy and life sustainable. The present study wants to identify optimal values for generating a healthy framework for sustainable life. There is a benefit for employees' satisfaction. The productivity results at work will be more satisfying. The study shows positive factors in lifestyle formation, which can be beneficial to the health, economy, and happiness of the individual. Research implies a questionnaire on a number of 43 people from Romania coming from urban areas, 75%, and villages, 25%. The applied questionnaire was formed by multiple choice questions. We find out that the number of people having quite a good amount of recreational time with disease accounts for 54%, while with no disease is 45%. The fact that recreational time does not influence the disease might be related to the type of recreational activity. Respondents with sufficient rest and with a disease represent a 42%, while without disease represent a 48%. This means that rest can influence the presence or absence of diseases. People with vegetarian diet and with a disease represents 42%, while without a disease represents 48%. Eating vegetarian reduces the chances of having high cholesterol, problems with heart, and consequently brain stroke. People who don't smoke and having a disease represents 41%, while with no disease the percentage is 59%. This is also consistent the fact that smoking influences the respiratory problems, generating with the problems up there to have psychiatric illnesses. In the conclusion, we observed that recreational time can influence the presence or absence of diseases. The influence of rest has value to the health of the respondents. We found out that rest influences the presence of and absence of diseases. Diet and smoking both influences the occurrence of diseases. The fact that diet and smoke are important in disease. The scientific presentation has several references in the background that are useful for understanding the sources of information. I want to thank you regarding to this presentation.
Distinguished professors and guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The topic of this doctoral workshop, the value of societal improvements through resilient business process management, will be treated today in the context of the use of neurotechnologies in the fields of business and competitive intelligence. This presentation aims to discuss the concept of augmentation, assess the role of neurotechnologies in achieving competitive advantages, provide insight regarding the neurotechnologies, discuss the ethical aspects regarding the use of neurotechnologies. This presentation is structured as so: discussion over the concepts, different types of neuroaugmentation, ethical aspects, and conclusion. Discussion over the context, competitive intelligence in the digital age. Please allow me to start by looking at context. The early period of competitive intelligence, the 80s, was the pre-internet period and was characterized mostly by analog systems. Most of the data and information were gathered by primary sources. The data and information that were collected from secondary sources needed the intervention of human factor to process, analyze, and extract meaning from them. As technology evolved, most of today's data and information is generated and stored in digital format. This period, known as digital age. Digitization is a process that generates a huge amount of data that cannot be analyzed in the real time by human users. This context has led to the accelerated development of solutions that process and analyze a huge volume of data that bears the generic name of cognitive solutions. Cognitization was a logical step in the digitization advancement and expansion of globalization. IBM Cognitive Business, as an application of Watson platform, who obtain and analyze, store, and use digital information for economic and financial decisions. The Microsoft Brainwave project promised access to real-time artificial intelligence services, especially in the financial and research environment. Immersive cognitive systems allow corporations to lead from a veritable cockpit or bridge with situational assessment rooms, cognitive boardrooms, immersive classes in which human staff will constantly interact with artificial cognitive agents. For smaller business, national and regional, it is estimated that in the coming years, access to AI services over the internet will be a standard for the civilian business domain. In the field of competitive intelligence, the goal of specialists is to collect data and information that they process and analyze, then transform them into intelligent suggestion, actions, strategies, and decisions. To respond rapidly to the urgent need to collect relevant data and information from the increasing volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous environment as characterized by the current economy, competitive intelligence specialists need to build fast and efficient work systems such as those described above. At the same time, they need to develop new skills such as agility and attention. Attention is a mandatory condition for competitive intelligence specialists, while agility often depends on the ability to maintain a high level of attention or focus, and at the same time the rapid response of the stimulus, alertness. The ability of analysts to remain focused on a particular goal is what ensures their success or failure. For the intelligence competitive specialists to remain relevant, efficient, and to keep up with the environment that contains a large volume of information, while the field of artificial intelligence develops, it needs to enhance his cognitive abilities through optimization, stimulation, and augmentation. Among these three methods, the one that represents the subject of this paper is augmentation. Discussions over the concepts neuroscience, augmentation, and neurotechnologies. Neuroscience refers to multiple disciplines that carry out scientific research on the nervous system to understand the biological basis for behavior. Neuroscience today represents a wide range of research opportunities for the molecular biology of nerve cells, which contain the genes that command production of the proteins needed for nervous system function, to biological basis of normal and disordered behavior, emotion, and cognition, including the mental properties of individuals as they interact with each other and with their environments. Neuroscience incorporates a number of interacting areas, including cognitive neuroscience, system neuroscience, cellular and molecular neuroscience, development neuroscience, clinical neuroscience, theoretical neuroscience, and computational neuroscience. Neuroaugmentation is most commonly defined as the use of non-medical, for non-curative purpose, psychoactive substance and technologies in order to produce a selective improvement of the cognitive and emotional abilities of an individual, and is a focal application to concept of augmentation or enhancement, defined as the totality of interventions aimed at improving natural human anatomy or function beyond what is necessary to restore or sustain an optimum health. Augmentation implies enhancing the cognitive abilities within while optimizing and stimulating the factors of intervention. For optimization, intervention can be done through pharmacological means such as nootropic drugs or smart drugs. Stimulation can be obtained through neurotechnology, electrical and magnetic transcranial stimulation. Different types of neuroaugmentation: transcranial magnetic stimulation, transcranial electric stimulation, and biofeedback. Another way to classify brain stimulation methods is to divide them into two broad categories: invasive methods and non-invasive methods. Invasive methods involve direct brain intervention such as deep brain stimulation, and has been used for learning enhancement. The most popular non-invasive brain stimulation technologies are transcranial electric stimulation, transcranial magnetic stimulation, and focused ultrasound. Many recent researches had led to amazing understanding about the relationship between pleasure, learning, and motivation in the brain. It is now known that there is a center of pleasure in the medial part of prefrontal cortex, right in the middle of the forehead, a part that is involved in the process of focused attention, alertness, learning, and motivates us to go forward. Pleasure and happiness are the basic motivators for our lives. We want to explain happiness and pleasure develops momentum. We learn to associate many types of events with these feelings. Living in a sense of happiness, we change our vision of life, the reaction to the events and situation, our memory, our learning, and our general well-being. When we are happy, we connect much more easily to others. As we know, the maintenance of positive emotion stimulates health while maintenance the negative benefits of the disease. Mental training is based on biofeedback. It is a method that uses the mind to control a function of the body that is normally regulated automatically, such as body temperature, heart rate, happiness, and pleasure, to increase the production of high frequency gamma brainwaves from the medial part of the prefrontal cortex. In short, people can teach their brains how to raise their attention, alertness, happiness, and other positive feelings that are associated with the production of chemicals like endorphins and dopamine. Based on a device that measures the frequency of brain waves and software that interprets the information, we can tell what the brain, based on the fact that certain activities and certain states are associated with certain types of brain waves, is concentrated when it secretes dopamine when it is happy and other. This type of training is called neurofeedback. Ethical aspects. Advances in neuroscience and the development of neurotechnologies have progressively raised new and unique ethical issues or neuroethics, in addition of the more traditional aspects related to the human participation in research studies. The dual-use problem is often presented as an ethical dilemma, since it identifies a conflict between two fundamental ethical duties: the promotion of good and the prevention of possible correlated harm. The most important ethical issues are related to mind reading and privacy, agency, responsibility, and liability, safety and invasiveness of brain enhancement, and society. Please allow me to finish my presentation with the conclusion. In conclusion, Neuroaugmentation provides a number of tools designed to optimize the working process and to augment cognitive function in healthy individuals, like attention, short-term memory, concentration, sensory processing, that may have application for business and competitive intelligence. Thank you for your attention. Good afternoon, distinguished professors and colleagues. Today, at the doctoral workshop, The Value of Societal Improvement Through Resilient Business Process Management, I will present you the paper, The Competitive Advantage Acquired Through the Employee's Healthcare, Actionable Healthcare Strategies Creating Competitive Edge. The presentation is structured as so: introduction, context and circumstance, findings of research, and conclusions. Introduction. Looking to the economic effects of lifestyle, there are reflected the health saving that can appear when community people have better health perspective through a better lifestyle. Employee healthcare is seen as a serious concern and a major issue when health becomes an impediment to organizational success. When we talk about people and their work, we can see that there are several causes of employers' illness, from poor nutrition, stress, lack of sleep, lack of physical exercise, depression, addictions, interpersonal conflicts. For organizational occupational stress can contribute to a number of results that are critical for organizational success: lack of work, company revenue, and proven success in workplace. Context and circumstances. The three aspects of human being that need to be fortified are related to the physical field, the human domain in relation to society, and the lucrative field. The basic idea is that for the formation of the framework for the promotion of health principles, it requires another framework for introducing behaviors and healthy attitudes. Promoting a new attractive lifestyle will create competitive advantage for employee healthcare. Creating an attractive informational framework and attractive framework for skills development and support framework for employees will help increase interest in productivity, work enjoyment, and a friendly environment among colleagues with the same areas of attractiveness. Highlighting plans and strategies for a healthy lifestyle for the benefit of employees plays an important role. For this reason, the study outlines some direction for implementing such as plans so as to highlight the initial situation without first addressing this issue. Then the situation of health policy, plans and strategies, and then see what the expected results are. Implement strategies for a lifestyle beneficial to employees. Implement strategies for a lifestyle beneficial to employees. Please allow me to explain this table. We have the DMC Change Company that implemented health policy from decisions, plans, actions, vision for the future to priorities and the expected roles of different groups. In the second column, there are normal situations before implementing policies. In the final column, we have the company situation after policy implementation. The output of policy implementation is very good situation concentrating decisions, plans, findings. The above table highlights a number of directions to implement strategies for implementing a healthy lifestyle so as to improve the lives of employees. However, the situation is influenced by factors outside the framework of the workforce which cannot be managed through these strategies. They are out of the circle of influence of an improved lifestyle for employees. As far as the working conditions are concerned, we will see that we will have to adapt the lifestyle strategies to the workplace according to a few aspects. We will analyze the condition in which Romanian employees work in comparison with the employees of the other states of Europe. An important aspect of the reconciliation between work and family life is part-time work. However, it is not to distribute equality between women and men. In the EU, in the 2017, 32 of women in work had part-time work, compared with 9% of men. In the following, the study analyzed some statistical data of employment accessibility in Romania and the other states of Europe, where respondents were aged between 50 and 74. The study shows that on average the male employed rate is higher than of women, 73% compared to 62% in the EU in 2017. In this chart we have the comparison of employment rates by sex, age and citizenship. With blue color we have data for Romania, and with orange color we have average data from 28 states of The study shows that on average the male employment rate is higher than the woman, 73% compared to 62% in the European Union in 2017. In this chart we have the comparison of employment rates of adults by sex, number of children and citizenship. With blue color we have data for Romania, and with orange color we have average data from 28 states of European Union. However, it is interesting to note that the difference between the employment rates of women and men increases with the number of children. In the European Union in 2017, the employment rate of women with children was 66%, accounting for 74% for men. The rates were higher for both women, 71%, and men, 86%. For women with 2 children, the rate remained almost identical, 72%, while the rate of males increased to 90%. For people with 3 or more children, the employment rate decreased and was 57% for women compared to 85% for men. This pattern is noticeable in the vast majority of member states. Conclusions. A very good strategy for creating an optimal workplace for employees is to implement policies for a lifestyle beneficial to employees. The causes of implementation plans of the health strategies can be cancelled by creating oppositions of causes as follows. For poor nutrition, a diet rich in all nutritional elements is proposed. For stress, there is an activity that releases the stress in a constructive way. For sleep deprivation, it is appropriate to develop a well-being. For lack of exercise, fitness gym breaks. For conflict relations, creating an optimal framework for a development of relations. That is why the emphasis is on creating optimal conditions for employees who are in favor of beneficial lifestyle. This is the goal, to have a competitive advantage obtained with the health care of employees. This goal is to create a competitive edge. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for
We are glad that we are together at the 12th Annual Euromed Academy of Business Conference. This presentation will describe the main elements of the paper Competitive Advantage through the use of healthy solutions in Romania. In this presentation, we will introduce first the research, then we will present the used research methods, the findings, and at the end we will draw the conclusions. People in villages, due to excessive alcohol consumption, have created problems both in the family and in society, causing both moral, material, relational damage and the creation of aggressive behavioral illnesses. A high level of unhealthy is among those who do not read and are not informed about healthy diet lifestyle. This study is a starting point for looking to the economic effects of the lifestyle. As limitations, we restricted ourselves to few frequently met diseases in people, respectively heart problems, diabetes, and depression. We studied the influence of smoking, drinking alcohol, using coffee, education regarding healthy lifestyle, movement and healthy eating on those diseases. The method research is designed and applied by a questionnaire on a number of 108 people from villages from Giurgiu County, Romania. The method used was purposive sampling. Data obtained from the survey-based questionnaire was processed by quantitative, statistical and mathematical analysis. The lifestyle of the people from rural areas encompasses by itself more good lifestyle, good ingredients than people living into the cities, such as more exposure to nature, more movement, less stress, etc., which makes the influence of this factor to not be strong on the general health of the people. Smoking and drinking seems to have a higher influence on this specific disease. High blood sugar, even if the lifestyle of these people are in general more tailored towards a good ones as compared to the people living in other areas of the country. The only more notable difference for both drinking and smoking is for the case of high blood sugar, where is a direct influence of those factors on this specific disease. This can be due to the fact that both smoking and drinking seems to have a higher influence of this specific disease, even if the lifestyle of these people are in general more tailored towards a good ones as compared to the people living in other areas of the country. And any of those diseases accounts for 43, while non-healthy eating or less movement and having a disease accounts for 55% of the respondents. The conclusions are highlighted in the next sentences. People living in villages in Romania have less stress and more exposure to open air, sunlight, and nature than the people in the cities. This can lead to a larger exposure to healthier lifestyle factors than people in the cities. People from rural areas have healthier lifestyle as compared to people from other regions, and this counteracts the influence of those wrong habits that can cause health problems in people. There is a direct influence of lifestyle education, movement, healthy eating on disease level of the respondents from our study. Movement education regarding healthy lifestyle seems to have a direct influence of the health level. A better lifestyle will imply better health with less expenditure on medical care and general savings for the health benefits healthcare system of a country. The paper has several references that are useful for understanding the background of the working paper. We want to thank you for listening to this project.
The work entitled Health Prevention Under Lens: Principles, Behavior, New Approaches of Risks, and Strategic Policies is co-authored by Dr. Elena Iulia PASCU, GABARA, and Dr. Larisa MIHOREANU. The scientific field of work is health prevention, a domain connected to the fundamental of the health system and to the different sets of measures designed to promote the individual's and population health. The major determinants are represented by health, prevention, behaviors, policy, strategy, risks. What does prevention mean? Principally, it has two main purposes: to make people aware of the importance of their health as an individual capital of incalculable worth and price, and to maintain and develop their health as the most precious societal asset. The World Health Organization distinguishes three main types of health risk prevention. Primary prevention aims to raise the awareness and the risks of certain behaviors before they exist to reduce the incidence of a disease. It addresses the people who have no symptoms at all to reduce the likelihood of any health problem. Primary prevention includes medical and non-medical action. Example: immunization against infectious diseases, health education, and road safety, such as the use of safety belts and cycling helmets. Dietary counseling and hygiene advice during a medical consultation, vaccination and screening campaign are also part of primary prevention. Secondary prevention includes the action to be taken by ill people, by the patient. It is meant to prevent the worsening of the underlying disease and to limit the extent of the progression through early diagnosis. Secondary prevention aims to detect the disease or the lesion that precedes it at a stage where it is possible to effectively intervene and avoid the development of clinical symptoms or biological markers. As example, we mention rehabilitation exercise or various control after treatment of health problems, mammograms for breast cancer detection, treatment like vaccination post-exposure or diagnostic tests such as mammography for breast cancer detection can be examples. Finally, tertiary prevention reduces chronic disease-associated disabilities, and it refers to prevention activities that avoid relapse. For example, chronic disease programs for diabetes, arthritis, depression, and others support groups that allow members to learn strategy to improve quality of life, professional rehabilitation programs to retrain workers for new job when they recurred after a professional accident. What role do risk factors play? Risk factors encompass these elements that trigger a condition or disrupt a person's health at any given time. 3 types of risk factors have been identified: individual or endogenous, like age, gender, ethnicity, heredity, immunity; environmental factors, pollution, income level, cultural level, psychosocial influences like stress, and ultimately behavior factors such as smoking, sports, and nutrition. But what causes risk factors awareness? There are untold dimensions of attitudes towards a known health risk. Therefore, individual attitudes of declared preferences like risk aversion, prudence, temperance, exaggeration, panic attack, and others may arise. Scientific researchers distinguish between different types of health risk at individual or large-scale population level, with irreversible or reversible evolution, and describe people's behavior depending on the field in question and contextual effects. Risk aversion is the basic concept of risk theory, a concept developed by Pratt in 1964, which claims that a person is afraid of a risk that he considers important. This theory reflects an attitude of denying the risk and of privileging certain situations. Accepting that people can be grouped according to their attitude to risk, 3 attitudes are then possible: affinity for risk, sort of risk-seeking group, a risk aversion group, or a group that is indifferent to risk. In fact, the introduction of the uncertainty in many situations affecting health and medical decisions, where risks are poorly understood, can help understanding how people are confronted with uncertainty beyond the choice of public information, communication, and of prevention programs for maintaining health. People's existence is constantly changing through technology innovation. More Automation, fewer people in effective production, versatile work team, many-sided jobs, more passivity, more loneliness despite the development of online communication, more responsibility. As a result of this changing in the scientific community, it has become imperative to analyze more objectively the real progress of today's society through man's activity versus the skills of machinery on one side and machinery versus the health risk on the other. First of all, people are better of perceiving patterns, detecting small visual or acoustic signals, improvising. People are more flexible in approaching and exerting judgment, while machines are better at reacting quickly to control signals, applying a precise and constant force in performing repetitive tasks, in handling extremely complex situations, is based on the standard or error those threshold is known. This analysis exercise reveals that the need to introduce the concept of human factor and to explain its implication in the state of health. Why are the people so important? Up to 80% of the causes of accidents can be attributed to humans. And this shows that the human factor is the most important factor of risk for human health, given the contemporary lifestyle spreading in new behaviors at work and outside it. All major accidents involve a series of human failures. The recent years brought to general attention various dramas, generating others even bigger, such as organ donor shortages in the absence of the population information programs, lack of incubators for infants born in hospital, lack of blood needed for hospital transfusion, climate change, genetically modified food, epidemics of disease, and inappropriate vaccination. All this generated the concept of health security in order to identify measures to raise awareness of preventive medicine issues. Citizens demand for a right to health, which extends even beyond the health security framework and cannot be achieved by ignoring the medical school that have been protected so far by its technical and curative health system, which unfortunately have no capacity to anticipate the consequences of globalization or to counteract pathologies generated by contemporary lifestyle. In such situation, it is difficult to accurately quantify and analyze possible interaction between risk factors, given the uncertainty of evolution in the modern society. To eradicate health risks, people and specialists need firstly to identify the determinants of risk, to demonstrate their interdependence and effects on health status in order to adopt appropriate prevention behavior. It is a true challenge. Confusion are sustained by the incomplete knowledge, irrational manipulation of news, and contradictory medical information of the likelihood of health risk. Thus, we aim at identifying the determinants of risk and factors to act against negative effects by preventive measures. Our expectations Applying appropriate policies of prevention through viable and sustainable programs designed to foster preventative behavior, allowing the members of the society to control their health risks and take appropriate measures to maintain or improve their health. Strategies and implementation models often integrate components of different theories and determinants as tools to be used to develop better strategic policies for global health promotion programs and disease prevention. Thus, community use the last models to implement programs that allow people to better manage their health capital. If correctly understood, such models can serve as a framework for the organization of health promotion and disease promotion activities. Thus, the aim of this paper is to emphasize the health risk typology and related behaviors in close connection to the individual's duty to recognize the need to build their preventive health rooted in sustainable public knowledge and profit-oriented policies. And finally, remember to invest in your health. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahil Asadi. I'm PhD student at DASE and I'm presenting the paper of the role of circular economy to improving upon the economic governance in Romania. Let's start from the concept of circular economy. This paper would like to present the advantage that circular economy can offer and support given to the economy in order to be more competitive, and which leads to the reduction of consumption of resource and the improvement of environmental condition. Also, at the same time, this paper research will present the identified limits and constraints that may hinder the development of circular economy, such as reduce the infrastructure, technological and systematic barriers that do not allow the implementation of business model in the circular economy, but also the identified levers and how to reduce the limitation, especially by assessing the non-reimbursable funds made available to the member states in this respect. Considering, on the other hand, that the resources are limited and that the model of linear economy is not a sustainable one, and from the other hand, we can say the influence of human factor on the environment, the fact that human activity contributes to destruction of some essential biosystem for survival, contributing to consumption non-regenerative resource with irreversible impact on the environment, it is urgently necessary to take a measure to raise awareness and involve the human factor in generating the fundamental and sustain this change in the human factor mentality meant to prevent all the destruction from the environment, which all of them is all are obligatory and necessary for the decent living. If it's not, even we can say it can gonna be better for the future generation. In this respect, the main objective of this research paper is the circular economy theory comes along with a specific advantage, provided as a support to make the economy more competitive and the environment more sustainable. This can be happen by accepting a new vision of life and work inside a society based on the full goals use of the research leading to the environmental condition improvement in the European Union countries. Also in the European Union countries, the identified limits and concentrate that may hinder the development of circular economy, such as reducing infrastructure, technology, systematical barriers that do not allow the implementation of business model in the circular economy. They all come together. They all come together with the levers ready to use the reduced limitation assessing to the non-remissible funds arising the member state awareness and about such handling tools and their advantage. To become more sustainable as the economy needs measure of environmental protection, encouraging support from the ecological system to use wisely the natural resource. We can say that at the European Union level, the representatives they share the concern analyzing the state of affairs from the human activity that affects directly or indirectly the environment and provide the support to improve the situation by allocating the funds to the member state. They also encourage the adoption of circular economy concept for the sustainable development. Based on the objective of this research, the methodology of work used consists mainly in the documenting, analyzing, comparing, and checking the existing context in order to identify the limitation and concentrate that prevent the implementation of measures necessary for the feasible circular economy. The solution identified the field of cycling economy that can be implemented within the funds which can be assessed with the framework of Horizon 2020, the European Fund for Strategic Investment. Actually, the circular economy is considered the only solution for reviving the economy as it is contributes to the elimination of waste and to reduction of carbon emission and as a result of recovery of materials through the recycling and the reintroduction of them into the economy. In the circular economy model, which is consists of three principles, we can say that the reuse of materials that are disposed of as a waste, or optimizing the reuse of use or use of national regeneration system. The circular economy is a topic that can be widely circulated lately, being a concept adopted, promoted and sustained by the European Commission, which consider that the adoption of the circular economy and the proposed measures will maximize the value of all raw materials, products and all the waste, favoring saving the energy and also can helping to reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. The circular economy package actually can cover entire life cycle for the it can help from the production and consumption to the waste management and the secondary raw material market. Also, the circular economy, the transition of the European Commission adopted on the December 2015. The circular economy package in that time was including three things: the action plan, the list of action to be taken during the term of current commission, and the legislative proposal. But better to take into account the measures taken in the 2018 January. The European Commission analyzed and on the basis of 7 indicators, which it was municipal waste, food waste, municipal recycling rate, share of goods traded that are recycling the raw materials, material reuse rates, patent related to the circular economy since the year 2000, and investment in the circular economy sector. As we can see here also in the map, the countries for each indicator, the hierarchy of 1 to 28 was established, and the final index being calculated by the arithmetic mean of 7 competence that mentioned in the previous slide. But here that we can see in this map, the countries with the best score that for the circular economy, they are mentioned and they are Germany, United Kingdom, and also France. Uh, for analyzing the current context of how to implement the circular economy, and restriction have been identified on the cross-border waste shipment that is not possible without prior notification and preliminary agreement, and which hinder the implementation of Commission proposed reduction targets for the waste disposal up to the year 2030. To stimulate EU industry competency for the public and the private investment, the European Commission has made actually the financial allocation available for each one of the member states, and it was through the programs such as Horizon 2020, COSME, Structural and Investment Fund, and the European Investment Fund, and as well as other European EU program considered as an instrument important support for the inclusive stakeholder for the SMEs or social business that are particularly they are active in the areas such as recycling, repairing, and also in the part of innovation. But through the Horizon 2020, for the period time of 2016 to until 2017, the European Commission, together with the EIB, has financed around 650 million euro for projects relevant to the circular economy. And this commission also assessed to the possibility of launching a platform together with the EIB and the national banks to support the financing of a circular economy that will create the business opportunity and that will attract all the private funding. Starting from the Commission goal for transferring the current model of linear economy to the circular economy model, this package promoted to support the circular economy addressed all the stakeholders, including the economy operates, and the targets innovative and more efficient production and consumption patterns, paving the way for a new opportunity business and also for boosting the competitiveness. Actually, the circular economy has the potential to create many jobs in Europe, while presenting the precious resource and fewer resource, reducing the environmental impact of resource use, and valorizing the waste by turning them into the product. Also, among the main cases that led to the transfer from the linear economy model to the circular economy model, we can briefly say that the model of linear economy generate massive waste, and on the other hand, the waste of the natural resource. And the linear economy, there is a shortage of resource, the volatility of their prices on the international markets, but also generation of waste, environmental pollution, and ultimately climate change. The second point that we can say that in comparing with the linear economy to the circular economy is we can consider that to be a solution of fusion, and it is as a result of impact on the resource and the effect that can be gained on the environment also. The circular economy is based on the fact that the end of life products recuperate materials through the recycling and dismantling, which then reuse them, all this raw material, and the other real life of products. Circular economy means actually closing the loop of value chain from the production to consumption through the repairs and refurbishment, then the waste management and secondary raw material that are reintroduced into the economy. We can see here also a picture that is showing so well the life cycle of product in the circular economy. This is starting from the premise that can has be a central place in the decision making and actively involve the community life. Actually, this life cycle of product in the circular economy is extremely important to know how the incentives that the people respond to them and how they can change their behavior when they are issuing with and bearing from any environmental effects. In this sense, also the civil society organization can become important factors in creating the positive incentive promoting good practice by conducting information and campaigning to educate the population, increasing accountability and generating the feedback for all the people. At the end, for the main result of our research paper, we can starting from the European Commission concept for the circular economy, incorporated with the constructive action plan presented in this research paper, and taking into account that the stage of cyclical economy from the production to consumption, from the repair to refurbishment, from the waste management and the secondary raw material market for re-engineering into the economy. From all of that, we can conclude that impacting the importance to the EU economy in general and to the member state in the particular, and to the benefits of promoting circular economy for each one of member states. And also, the European Union Commission is aware of technological systematical barriers faced by the member state and is supporting it by making available the financial allocation needed to the implementing innovative performing the technology, also to enabling business models to be implement the circular economy, will also they trying to stimulating the competitiveness. And Romania also, as a member state of European Union, has the role to participate in the actions in the actions dramatic by the European Union Commission by undertaking the necessary measure of the gradual transfer from the linear economy to this circular economy model that we're presenting, including the adoption of the EU waste management directives. And thank you so much for your attention.
Good evening, dear professors, dear colleagues. I'm happy to
Gabriel
be here.
I am
the
a PhD
student at Doctoral School of Business Administration from the Bucharest University of Economic Studies, Bucharest, Romania. Today I would like to present a paper regarding improving the organization development through business resilience, a project-oriented company. Some keywords regarding this paper are organization, management, business resilience, human resources, and project management. The objective of this paper is to identify how a resilient business or organization can develop in a sustainable way by the help of project management and by involvement and support of the human resources. Organizational resilience. There are two main approaches in literature regarding the concept of organization resilience. One of them defined the organizational resilience as the firm's ability to sense and correct maladaptive tendencies and cope positively with unexpected situations. A second perspective of organizational resilience includes the development of new capabilities in order to create new opportunities due to its adaptive capacity and build a successful future. The organizational resilience is the ability of organizations to anticipate, avoid, and adjust to shocks in their environment. Resiliency is a latent path. Resilience requires the ability to distinguish between the two situations. First, there are demanded creative solutions, or second, well-practiced responses. This is correlated to fact that resilient organization is able to manage better the risk and is prepared for the unexpected. Business continuity and disaster recovery are closely related practices that support an organization's ability to remain operational after an adverse event. Business continuity and disaster recovery can help an organization and its employees to achieve resiliency. In this paper, I present a business continuity and disaster recovery planning. And as you can see, there are steps specific to the disaster recovery plans as information technology recovery process, data backup, server storage, networks, and steps regarding business continuity plan as a business continuity plan, risk management, policies and strategies, and business continuity. Resilience is an interdisciplinary concept that describes the dynamic development of complex adaptive systems that interact across temporal and spatial scales. As you can see, there are indicators of resilience regarding the leadership and culture, networks and relationships, and change ready. When we speak about leadership and culture, we speak about leadership, about staff engagement, situation awareness, decision making, innovation and creativity. Networks and relationships are developed by effective partnerships, leveraging knowledge, breaking silos, internal resources. And change ready refers to the unity of purpose, proactive posture, planning strategies, and stress testing plans. An organization that managed to combine their social, environmental, and financial performance in order to create shared value for both business and society is a sustainable organization. In order to implement a project-oriented strategy and to develop further project management competencies, it is necessary to collaborate and benefit from support of human resources to develop different instruments for individuals, teams, and organization as a whole. Sustainability is often operationalized as a triple bottom line. Organizations must manage their social, environmental, and financial performance in order to create shared value for both business and society. The relationship between individual resilience and organizational resilience reflect the typical interaction between systems and subsystem. Organization level capabilities are not just additive composites of individual capacities. Both the action of individuals and the interaction effects matter. An human resources system creates messages that are sent to employees and signal what is expected of them, how they should interact with one another, what they should focus on, what they should not focus on, what is rewarded. And in the figure above is presented a model developed by Roland Garros through which we can be assessed the status of an organization based on project management. As conclusion, the implementation of a program based on project management leads to the transformation of the Management Act by streamlining the internal process. In a public organization, a project-oriented company approach can enhance decision-making process, internal communication and leadership styles, leading to an improved and resilient organization. Another benefit of the project-oriented society is that it allows efficient management of the company's activity. Thereby, it helps optimizing cost and maximizing profits. Thank you for your kind attention.
Hello, my name is Alexandra Mihai Stefanescu, student of the Business Administration Doctoral School, the Bucharest University of Economic Studies, and in the next minutes, with your permission, I have the pleasure to present you the following research did in collaboration with Dr. Stefanescu Alexandra Rodica from Anima Clinic Bucharest, Romania, entitled, School Medicine, the Prevention Kernel for Future Generations' Health. The present research brings up the realistic situation together with potential future dramatic consequences if immediate measures, such those indicated here, will not be considered and taken at once. The Medical Act needs radicalization by raising awareness on individual and societal supreme values, by targeting realistically the needs, monitoring activities, and developing the coordinates of true diagnosis, investigation and treatment. Health is both a complex concept and a state, partially understood, lately recognized, and underestimated in the life cycle of the human being. The lack of self-interest in own person, caused by low education, lack of well-being and limited incomes inside the family, is a harmful attitude finding its deep roots in frustration, unhappiness, low self-esteem, lack of access to correct and valuable health information, in illness, or specific consequences of it. This general attitude is granted today as a national security issue linked to dramatic consequences requiring economic, social, demographic strategies in any country. To increase life expectancy and possibility of work, a preventative educational sanitary management is needed, based on a sustainable development and supported by actions meant to reconsider the types of care in favor of the primary one. Implement preventative school health education under long-lasting monitoring and durable evaluation. Outpatient treatment. Reduction of hospitalization expenses. Development of health care. Education and nutrition. Forward into general concepts of health. Health is the most beautiful and richest gift that nature knows how to make. Michel de Montaigne. Health continues to be considered the most valuable gift received by man from nature. Its loss is perceived as a major damage to both the individual and society. Clark et al., 1997. Unfortunately, people appreciate more the material values and the accumulation of richness and less the value of their own health. Most of them become too late aware of the real situation when are obliged to face the consequences. The drama is even greater when adults ignore the consequences of losing their children's health by failing to observe the basic living conditions, behavior, work, attitude towards the others inside the community. The lack of health education is always tightly linked to poor education or school dropout because school and health care are the pillars that mark the durable development of any individual and society. In the absence of the job security, the effort to increase family income is directly proportional to the rise of the negative effects of non-observance of sleep hours, neglect of a scientific nutrition, which ultimately leads to losses. The path of life is often shortened by diseases caused by negligence in eating. Increasing school dropout deprives young people of the knowledge of food management. The development of fast and junk food technologies and innovations shows that people are already prisoners of the copy-paste behavior because they do not know how, what and how to eat. More and more live to eat and not eat to live. The cases of obesity increase in number and complications and, worryingly, they catch more children, adolescents, and students than seniors. The golden age of consumerism completely altered the young people's behaviors. The youth get accustomed to eating more tasty stuff than healthy. They prefer fast food restaurants, cafes, and bars instead of classical places with physical entertainment, proactive education and outdoor sports. They give up the fruits and vegetables for technological products, the first enemies of obesity. Few know that obesity can lead to the dramatic conditions of health: abdominal hernia, varicose veins, flat foot, bronchitis, hypertension, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, heart disease. Most chronic diseases are due to sedentariness and a passive lifestyle. Too much food, drink, smoking, too little movement, an inappropriate approach of social and working relationships. Those are the pillars of a bad time management, inadequate professional activity and deficient institutional relationships. In order to increase life expectancy and the possibility to work, the curve of sustainable development must take a completely different aspect built on preventive monitoring, outpatient treatment, reduction of hospitalizations costs in establishments, switch on care function through healthcare, education, nutrition. In other words, the Medical Act should be radicalized by focusing on real needs, through permanent monitoring and development of true diagnosis, investigation, and treatment. Coordinates Watson et al., 2013. The Edifice of Sustainable Health. Source: Larisa MIHOREANU, PhD, thesis in Health Management. Intersectoral action on health is considered essential to achieving equity in health, keeping in mind that progress depends on aggregated decisions and correlated actions. According to the WHO official definition, health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, not just the absence of disease or infirmity. Directions of actions to strengthening health reputation within school care partnering. This is a strategy in the field of mental, physical, and social health, which can be seen on the one hand as a political strategy and, on the other hand, as an approach that makes it possible to straighten the lifestyle for the benefit of health. The adoption of the European Union Strategy on Health and Safety at Work has as strategic objectives the global approach to well-being at work by taking into account changes in the world of work and the emergence of new risks, with the aim of increasing the quality of work, reducing the number of accidents at work and preventing occupational diseases. Taking account of demographic change in terms of risks, changes in employment patterns and contractual arrangements, work organization, and working time, analysis of new risks. Strengthening a culture of risk prevention by combining a variety of political legislative instruments, social dialogue, measures, and good practices, social responsibility and economic incentives based on building partnerships between health and safety stakeholders. Education, awareness, anticipation, accentuation of risk awareness, more effective enforcement of existing legislation. The existence of an adequate social policy that is a factor in the competitiveness equation, knowing that non-policy generates risks. European countries have made significant gains in population health, but there are still great inequalities in health, both between and within countries. The link between school, diet, and health. Hippocrates outlined the primacy of health food, give your diet your first medicine. As already stated, the accelerated rhythms of today directed the people to consume more fast food than traditionally cooked food, use the microwave to heat processed and ready-for-use products. Fats, sugars, auxiliaries and dyes, pesticides highly present than ever in processed food are also sources of multiple pathologies. The first choice is, above all, to give one time to get information and get advice from professionals. This can happen in the best way in the nursery, at kindergarten or school, in any place where teachers, mentors, medical assistants, and general practitioners are present and ready to share their knowledge with all pupils, students, family and friends. The change come along with a better quality of sleep, mental and physical balance, and energy found in good nutrition will be valuable allies in this change. Methodological analysis of Horizon 2020 framework in comparison with the Romanian strategy. Aligning national legislation in the field of health and safety at work. This alignment has begun since 2007, but it has not yet been completed. The data from the extended research refers to the case law developed in the Family Medicine Cabinet, in correlation with the public statistical data. Interventions have been done in different sectors. Legislation, Public Health Act, tobacco control, changes to some foods, e.g. blending vegetable oil and butter. Regulations, public places have been declared tobacco-free areas, the Health Promo Lunch Board was introduced. Industry, healthy food products have been developed and promoted in collaboration with local authorities, civic organizations. Media, raising public awareness, education campaigns for healthcare has been done using a wide variety of channels including TV, newspapers, care system, schools, and volunteer organizations. Education, homeschooling has been done through active collaboration with schools and educational institutions in relation to nutrition education. Conclusion. Cultivating health education through changing lifestyles has not only medical but also social, economic, and institutional societal implications that need to be known and deeply implemented. Wu, 2013. The first logical step towards a restructuring of the healthcare system, and a decongestion is absolutely necessary in the onset of a general efficiency of the system. Hello, my name is Alexandru Mihai Stefanescu, student of Business Administration, Doctoral School of the Bucharest University of Economic Studies, and in the next minutes, with your permission, I will present you my paper, entitled Designing the Smart Hospitals Through Intelligently Integrated Tools of Quality and Cost Effectiveness. The present paper describes a new concept of integrated hospital to be implemented in Romania. The system works in a holistic manner, serving the patients, medical staffs, and health institutions by reducing the time of expectation, standardizing the operational activities, treatments, and monitoring. The efficiency doubles the results both financially, as profit, and socially, as social satisfaction. SMART stands for Single Building, Architectural Emblem. Mutual, for both patients and physicians and researchers. Adaptative, thought from the beginning to resist in time. Respectful, built with care towards the natural and urban environment. Technological, effective by quality, not by quantity. Patient's acquaintance, communicate with doctors, comprehend patient's situation and expectations, respond to international requirements, support research programs, and attract and retain professionals are examples of action to turn a rigid medical institution into a performing, versatile, and economically efficient. The Medical Assistance Monitoring System is a communication platform personalized for the hospital unit, integrated into the Hospital Information Management System. Critical patient information can also be sent to relevant staff in a very short time. In terms of hardware, the system has several components: the touchscreen control panel and the internal memory card reader, the call unit for each bed, the patient's receiver, the WC call unit, and the corridor lamp on the door. The working method is developed under the system of calls, made from cameras can be viewed from the nursing care panel, and pager signals viewed on mobile phones. The highly integrated system directs the critical patient information precisely to relevant staff. With the IP-based system, management software can be controlled by the operation and stability of the equipment can be connected to it from start to finish. In case of a malfunction, a definition of the technical personnel in the system can be notified of the situation. By implementing this integrated system, efficiency gains are made in reporting and monitoring the procedures and protocols of medical staff to hospital management, as objective as possible, and in improving the working time and quality of services provided to the patient. Pneumatic transport system. Applicability and workflow. The pneumatic transport system facilitate hospitals their ability to deliver expanded hospital services without increasing staff numbers or diminishing quality. An infinite variety of materials can be transported with a pneumatic tube system. The pneumatic transport system, integrated with the hospital software, connects the entire hospital. Emergency rooms, laboratories, blood bank, pharmacy, and all support areas can now be linked together. Items that once were transported manually using human resources can now automatically reach their destination. Materials such as blood and tissue samples can reach the lab in seconds. Medications sent from the central pharmacy can get to the care stations by pressing a button. In terms of hardware, it assumes the installation of multi-zone pipelines interconnecting multiple workstations with independent operating areas. The system is operated via connected pumps and works on the vacuum line. Materials weighing maximum 28 kilograms can be transported at speeds of up to 8 meters per second. The advantages are numerous: improving work times, lowering staff costs, limiting human errors that may result from handling and transport, sanitary materials, medicines, biological samples, but more importantly, samples and essential drugs arrive at destinations within seconds of a few minutes. Overall, hospital operation is simplified, and valuable hospital staff can focus on what they do best, to treat patients. The Patient Monitoring System and Medical Devices, RFID. In terms of hardware, the system involves the installation of Wi-Fi reception receivers in the defined area and the allocation to patients of bracelets equipped with a chip, which allows permanent monitoring of their location and vital signs, cardiac rate. RFID tags and scanners are also required. The working method. RFID is a form of wireless communication that incorporates the use of electromagnetic or electrostatic coupling into the radio frequency spectrum of the electromagnetic spectrum to uniquely identifies a person or object. Applications of the system. Monitoring vital signs of patients. It can accurately identify the position of infants or babies found in pediatric or neonatology departments or a patient suffering from Alzheimer. Can identify if a patient has left the defined perimeter, and in such cases it may be real-time. The medical devices labeling with tags is based on microchips that allow real-time identification of the equipment in a well-defined area. Enables specific medical activities and reduces the incidence of human accidents and mistakes, or administrative activities such as annual inventory, shortening work times, reducing the human resource allocated to these activities and implicitly costs. For patients, the allocation at the time of admission to them of a bracelet equipped with a chip, which allows permanent monitoring of their location and vital signs, heart rate. This helps to manage urgently the emergency situations that may occur during a patient's hospitalization when it is in the yard, in common areas or areas such as a toilet or a shower. The patient can be found within minutes by medical staff and can receive first aid. These minutes can make the difference between life and death. Results and conclusions. The implementation of the Smart Hospital will provide immediate identification of emergency situations in which a patient can be found and rapid intervention to save him, improving working times, lowering staff costs, limiting human errors that may result from handling and transport. This system brings important benefits in terms of patient safety. Thank you.
Hello, this is Rahil Asadi. I'm PhD student at ASE presenting the paper of how globalization influences the developing countries' human resource strategic policy. Developing is a comprehensive mode that involves major change in the social, economic, and national institution to achieve the human welfare. Today, the main component of human welfare is about the developing of individual choice and the societies which people have the power to choose more and more in the term of economical, social, political, they have and they have freedom of speech and express their personal beliefs, they are more successful and more developed at the providing human well-being. So the concept of developing process evolves from economic growth to human development, and development goals have improved much bigger than past. According to all of this, we retain for analyze have here several elements. Kind of definition of human resource development and its related indicator, how historical perspective of concept brings the development process, what is the relation between the human resource and the globalization process, how important and necessary are the review and assessment the process of the state of human resource needs, does there any relation between the globalization and national development strategy deserve a careful and they deserve a careful examine and investigation for assess and evaluate all of these objectives that sustain order their march flow according to the ranking data in the term of globalization index and the United Nations Human Development Index HDI. We calculated with the StatGraph statistical software, and also we use the other methods such as Spearman correlation coefficient and the correlate to find out the intensity between the variables among the 62 countries, and for the HDI among the 177 countries, to showing the relation between the globalization index and also the human resource development. According to the new concept of human resource development, the organization human resource they should be occupied with the qualities that this quality they have no conflict with the organization aim, objective, and the strategy of our organization. For this aim in general, we can say that the human resource development process they has the following competence, such as creating scientific knowledge and promoting employees' knowledge, creating scientific and balanced behavior at an employee, promoting employees' capability, creating add value as a quality for each employee, developing their work skills for their performance in the organization, improving, updating employees' information, improving their ability for solve the problems in any difficult situation, give them ability for rational decision making, personality development, or ability to combine and build a new collection of employees. All of these can lead to developing the human resource in the organization, and for sure has an effect on the organizational development as well. As the main focus of human development reports represent the latest international efforts to find out the development measurement unit for all the countries. It is developed based on three criteria that is mentioned here in the picture. As we can see, education, life expectancy, and GDP or gross domestic per capita. The use of these three criteria is due to their important undeniable role and impact in enhancing the human capability. The Human Development Index aims to increase the power of choosing and expanding human capability and evaluate the amount of success in the process of human development. Lifespan as an index to measure the life expectancy. It is also can showing the better nutrition and having the health facilities, and also for providing more opportunity for life and choice of humans. Education also can learn people how to think and the power of decision making, and also give them the power to take advantage of using the opportunity. Today, except the role of education in the human development process, it is also emphasized at its impact on the economic growth and ultimately the impact of the real income growth on the expansion of individual free choice and using the material resource. All these three competences has a direct impact for evaluation of HDI or Human Development Index that is mentioned in this paper. After we evaluate all of these three factors, we're trying to find out the important competence of globalization and then the relation between HDI and globalization. The subject of human resource development and its relation with the productivity is one of the major issues in the HRM. Through the development of skill, knowledge, competency, learning power, and interest of human resource at all the levels in organization, it can make the continuous organizational growth, and the organizational growth also can lead to the growth and development of people. All of these factors which is mentioned here, as we can see, they can help to create a appropriate mental environment and also can provide a necessary environment base for increasing the productivity in any type of organization. The graph is showing the global ranking of communication facilities development between 177 countries. Actually, the availability of communication facility is one of the most important indicators of human development process, and also the part of global ranking of communication facility development between here is between 2008 to 2018, and the Human Development Reports compares the countries' telecommunication. Evaluating the HDI, Human Development Index, and its related components for finding out the relation between the globalization index, you have to take a look to components related to the globalization. Here also I added the education between selected country for comparing the HDI between 62 countries. The description of data related to the globalization index actually extract from the different type of resources, such as World Development in the indicator, International Financial Statistical Yearbook, Telecommunication Union Yearbook of Statistics, Compendium of Tourist Statistics, the Balance of Payment Statistics, and World Factbook. The globalization index is not just economical, and it is including the other factors that is mentioned in the picture. We can see it, political, technical, and individual factor, but it doesn't include cultural criteria. Of course, for the coming years, with the effort of two researchers at the University of Singapore, the culture has to be assessed for the countries through the import and export, and the press is also being evaluated. But according to the globalization index, the Europe is the most globalized region due to the free trading, foreign investment, and easy condition of travel without passport. According to the experts from the CUNY International Consulting Institute, the most important indicator of globalization is a direct foreign investment, because it is combined with the economical factors, political, and also technological factors, and also individual factors. As you can see, all of them, they have a direct impact on the globalization index. Time to find out the relation between globalization index and human development index, and we can say here this relation can be quantified quantitatively. According to the data from the 13 globalization index and triple human development indicators that were published by International Institute of CUNY and the World Bank during 2018. Also here I'm used the Spearman correlation coefficient. The degree of correlation between these two indicators is calculated to be R76 percentage, which is indicate that there is a close correlation between these two indicators, globalization index and the human development index. As we mentioned here in the chart, the globalization index ranked among the 62 countries and human development index ranking among the 177 countries. The success of government in the term of globalization indicator reflects the human development of those countries. In the other words, the countries with a high ranking in the term of globalization index as the consecutive are ranked first in the term of human development indicators. The most finding of this research, as I described before, globalization indicators are published annually with the International Institute of Kearney based on 4 competences I mentioned in the economical, political, technical, and individual. And each one of these components, they have several indicators. For economic components indicators, international trade and the foreign investment. The political components has the indicators such as membership in international organization, participation in the United Nations, Council of Europe, one-way and two-way contracts, and the number of embassies. The technical competence has the indicators such as internet users, internet house, and the secure internet serves. And the individual companies had the indicators such as tourism, international money transfer, and foreign exchange traffic. The Human Development Index also according to competence of life expectancy, education, and GDP. After extracting information, all with details about these 2 indicators and processing information and using the statistical software such as StatGraph and the correlation coefficient between these 2 indicators, calculate that intensity of correlation between two with the R 0.76, which is indicate that there is a direct correlation between these 2 indicators. So and then we can say the more countries succeed in the globalization process, they are more successful they'll be in the human development process, as there is a close relation between globalization process and human development indicators and HDI. So the more successful they'll be in the human development process if they can be successful in the globalization process as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.